All right. It is a delightful Thursday. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our first webinar of 2023. Can you believe it is 2023? Oh, my goodness. So let's take a quick overview of what we will cover. The format of this webinar will include a roundtable discussion with two industry leaders. We will speak to who they are and their expertise in just a moment. But first, let's frame the orientation of this webinar. As you know, with the start of the new year, yay, Happy New Year, comes a lot of change and a lot of new opportunities. Remote work, diversity and inclusion, new technology innovations, these are all expected to drive the forefront of the strategic focus for staffing industry. So in this webinar, we'll look at some of these key trends shaping the staffing industry. My name is Tanya Jacobson. I will be today's moderator. I am the VP of Growth for UZIO. UZIO specializes in serving the staffing industry. We're a provider of an all-in-one payroll, benefits, and HRIS software. All right, Sanjay, the CEO of UZIO, and I like to call him my fearless leader, brings a tremendous wealth of experience in the HRIS and technology industry. An executive known to drive strategic growth, he has founded multiple companies, including Incentive, which later was acquired by United Health Group. Incentive was instrumental in saving Obamacare. It's a very interesting story. Should have Sanjay say it sometime. Sanjay brings a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the changing needs in payroll, benefits, and HRIS. Then, of course, we have Mike. Yay, Mike, the CEO and founder, hey, of TKO Staffing Pros. He brings a wealth of experience in the staffing industry. He's worked in many different aspects and functional areas, as well as leadership within the staffing industry. We're going to make the questions hard for you, Mike, just so you know. Just kidding. All right. Oh, I love the enthusiasm. Mike brings a wealth of experience and understanding to key challenges the staffing industry typically faces. Okay. So we're going to get to the questions. These questions, again, like I said, are brought up in a roundtable fashion. Sanjay and Mike, please feel free to jump on and share your perspectives on these questions as applicable. For the audience, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Please note we may not get to them during the question part of this section. We may answer some of them in the later part of the webinar. We have a full question and answer area. And then, of course, we will provide a follow-up email that will also include your questions and answers and responses thus discussed. So the first question, Mike, throwing the ball your way. What do you expect to be the biggest trends in the staffing industry over the next year or two?
Got you. Thank you. A lot of it is going to depend on the market that you're in and the type of staffing that you do. If you sign up for every seminar, webinar, and meeting you can go to this year, inevitably it will include diversity, equality, inclusion, and employee satisfaction. A lot of the new technology that's coming out is to measure that. A lot of various reasons, but probably one of the largest is right now, according to Robert Half, 48% of all professionals will be changing jobs this year. So at its height in 2021, I think at one point the number was 60 to 65% of everyone either having changed a job the prior year or to change a job. Seems crazy to me. I actually did research to verify this, and it all seemed true. So while the Great Resignation is hopefully coming to a close, we haven't gotten out of it. So software that's going to help you not only find talent, but retain talent is going to be huge in what people are looking for right now. Outside of that, old school is new school. We'll talk about it through this seminar, but a lot of the practices and policies that veterans in the industry learned years ago, they've been a little dormant, but they're about to come back to being a priority for staffing agencies.
Thank you, Mike. Sanjay, did you want to throw anything in here?
Yeah, no, I'll just add to what Mike said. I feel that technology will start to play more of a central role. Today, agencies use automation, but if you are an agency, you will see it's in bits and pieces many times, right? You are using 3-4 tools to complete your work. A different tool for recruitment, different for maybe your onboarding or your payroll. There is a different technology or a vendor for your billing. You are either doing it manually or doing it using another tool. And I just feel that the vendors, the technology vendors, and like UZIO, they will roll out more of integrated systems that truly address the automation from start to finish. Another thing I would point out, if we are all not living under a rock for last 3-4 months, almost everybody of us have heard about this new technology that came in the horizon in last couple of months through OpenAI called ChatGPT. And those of you who have used it, I have, and I'm in awe. It's like your assistant that does everything you asked it to do at no additional cost, and it knows everything, answers to all the questions. You should try it out if you guys have not. Just look for ChatGPT, Open AI. It's artificial intelligence tool. It's a big jump from where the artificial intelligence was a few years back. And Microsoft, which is tools you might be using, has decided to integrate some of the capabilities of this ChatGPT inside their tool. So if you're using Excel for generating invoices, if you're using Word for resume parsing, all that work, which was it's almost unbelievable, was being done manually, you will see that most of that will become automated. So it's really exciting time if you think of the staffing agency business and what role technology can play in that.
Yes, that is a good technology, Sanjay. Folks, we will go ahead and pop that in the chat just so you can see what that is that we're referring to, but it is pretty amazing. AI is definitely got a lot of cool stuff coming. So this was a good one. Here's another one. This is for both you, Mike, and Sanjay. Sanjay, you got a kind of little bit ahead of things here with ChatGPT, so hopefully you still can speak some more, which quite frankly, I think you can. There's a lot going on with technology. But, how do you see technology continuing to shape and transform the staffing industry? Mike?
One word, speed.
Yeah.
Speed and reaction times for staffing companies. Everything pretty much now is measurable. With everything that's available, you can manage it more. The old term, what's managed is measured, what's measured is managed, certainly applies nowadays. Reaction time to clients, prospects, following up, managing that internally with your internal staff, with their recruiting efforts, your sales team, to the back office and reports. Everything is available right now. So unfortunately, staffing industry, companies in the staffing industry, we have less of an excuse on why we may be dropping the ball. More than ever, if we're using new technology, it's improving our services, in turn helps our clients out, and trickles down to the workforce.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, and I will just add to what Mike just said, that when you are in a staffing agency, you're serving your clients. Today, I've seen in a lot of agencies, they're always focus is always the end customer. How that work gets done inside their shop is In many cases, it's automated, but in many cases, it is not. A 500 people agency may have more than 20 people in their back office, just doing things that can be automated more. And as I said in my first answer, that the vendors have to step up and like we have done, giving agencies something that truly addresses their workflow needs. And there is a reason they are not using today the tools from which are completely integrated, because they were not there, they were not meeting their needs, so they had to use something for billing and something for payroll and something for invoicing and something for ATS. I think that has to just go away. And as agency users, you have to question if things are being done manually. With the improvement in technology, if you see your team members doing things manually, why? You should ask that question, why, and see you can leverage more of an automation. So I think that will shape the industry. Another thing that may impact the industry, and I'll throw it out for you all, which I see is the proliferation of these marketplaces. Some of you who are in certain particular verticals or industries might be seeing that more than others. In a way, agencies meeting, bringing suppliers and demand and supply together. In certain industries, I would point out technology is staffing itself, or healthcare, nursing. You are beginning to see these marketplaces come up where the demand and supply are coming together through technology. And again, as a agency owners and business owners, you guys have to think about how does that impact me. If technology can if they can bring the demand and supply together. I've seen that in some of the marketplaces for nursing, especially when nurses can upload their credentials on the marketplace, they can upload their certifications and their shift preferences and all that, and their rates. And then, on the other end, providers healthcare facilities are looking at that and trying to match those. And as agency users, you have to think about, how does it impact me? And it will not happen in all verticals. So, but if it begins to come into my vertical, how do I need to react? How will I reinvent myself? What more will I do that maybe technology cannot do? So those are important, I think, issues that agency owners and business owners in this vertical should look into.
Some good stuff here. Thank you, Sanjay. All right. So, y'all ready for a little fun here? Let's take a poll. Basically, we'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about. Here we go. Effect on demand. Yes. You should see something popping up on your screen that says something to the extent of how will the current economic climate impact demand for your services? All right, we're starting to see some responses. Yeah. And then Mike and Sanjay, if you can, maybe you can make a couple comments to this. All right, so the question is, how will the current economic climate impact demand for your services? How will the current economic climate, by the end of the year? And it's very interesting. So 44% say I see demand increasing. 22% said I see no impact on the demand. And then 33% see I see demand slowing down. Yeah, very interesting. So go ahead.
I'll say everyone is correct. Because I think a lot of it depends on the market you service. Obviously, for us in the staffing industry, healthcare, IT, there's a lot of areas that will continue to increase. Companies like myself in our group, when light industrial, there's some variation there. For us, our home office is in Tupelo, Mississippi. Tupelo is considered by many the furniture capital of the world. Furniture is down. Manufacturers and industries related to the housing market, we're taking a hit right now. I think we're going on 10 months consecutively where the housing market and everything associated with it has dropped. We're certainly feeling that. To give you an example, had a chain of clients with 5 locations that had roughly 300 openings. 2 months later, they were on a hiring freeze. So there's a lot of up and down right now. But again, there are some industries that are still great. It's very profitable if you just make sure you're staying on top of them.
Yeah. No, as Mike said, will depend upon the vertical. Our audiences said 44% said it will increase, and 33% said slowing down. But I mean, if you look at the data that is coming out, there are indications. Again, there are. It can go either way. That the hot market, that job market that was there in summer of last year has cooled down. The wage growth, I follow those numbers. Wage growth in last 3 months was significantly down from the first part of 2022. So that will tell you a little bit about the softening of the market. The second data point I would say, the job site Indeed publishes the number of percentage of people who offer signing bonus. And before pandemic, that percentage was around 2%. So 2% of jobs posted there will offer signing bonus. That percentage went up to almost 6% last year. So think of from 2% to three times of that. So the agencies and recruiters were offering signing bonuses for people to join their firms. That number also has come down. It is half now. It has not gone down to pre-pandemic numbers, but significantly down from the summer of 2022. And lastly, I would say, if you look at the forecast from Federal Reserve itself, after their last meeting, they said that this is their forecast, and it could be wrong, who knows. But by the end of the year, so currently the unemployment is around 3.7%. And they're forecasting, and this is Federal Reserve, and they hired, I'm sure you guys know, most number of PhDs in economics in the world. So if anybody can forecast, these guys should be able to. And they said that the unemployment may go up from 3.7%, where it was in the last time they met, to almost 4.5% by the end of this year. That would mean if that prediction is, comes true, that would put, really it will cool down this hot job market. So, but there are industries which are like Mike was saying, almost recession proof. If you're in healthcare, I don't know if that really matters. So this will truly become more of a vertical game, which vertical gets impacted. But at least this is what the numbers are telling us.
Some good stuff. Thank you, Mike and Sanjay. So for the audience, I hope that you're enjoying this information and this format. We promise not to make you work too hard.
Okay.
I am sharing the results. Tell me if you could see it. I hope you can.
We can. So,
hey, woohoo! We love technology. All right, Mike and Sanjay, what do you think?
So I will say, I think recruiting, the further we get into 2023, the more that answer might slowly decrease a little bit, just because of more and more applicants being available. And as Sanjay mentioned, the unemployment rate going up, and it is trending that way. I think last week there was a decrease of 15,000 unemployment claims nationwide, but everything is indicating that. So in turn, your recruiting should get easier to some degree. I really like really all four of the bottom answers, but I'm going to kind of say while all those are important, just as important as having a system that kind of ties all of those together. Sanjay mentioned different programs and applications. That has certainly been one of our challenges. We've been exploring single sign-on applications, new staff, trying to train them on 20 different programs that we use. Anything that you can find tech to put in your tech stack that's going to tie those together to streamline it or automate it. It should certainly be a priority.
Couldn't agree more, could not agree more with Mike just said that, instead of looking it at one technology or one function being automated, your really goal as an agency business owner has to be, how do I take this to the next level where I truly get the benefits of technology? Like Mike said, if your team has to be trained on different platforms, they have to sign on to 4 different platforms, for a payroll to a different platform, for billing to a third platform, for ATS to another platform. It just, you are automating pieces of it, but really not getting the true benefit of technology. So instead of looking at it from, which one of these, I would really look at how do I automate my complete workflow from front office to back office.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. And that actually really nicely leads up to the next question. And Mike, I'm throwing it in your direction this time.
Come
You
on.
ready, right? You ready to
Let
catch
me
that
see.
ball? It's coming.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let me
It's
see.
coming.
Let me see.
There you go. So how do staffing companies evaluate new technology and, more importantly, ensure that they're successful with the implementation of that technology?
Okay, give me a hard one. All right, so you got a few options there. I will tell you first and foremost, do not be guilty of what many CEOs, presidents, vice presidents, or business owners, the trap they fall into, and that is, like myself, we have a tendency to be sold somewhat easily. A great email, a great sales pitch, afraid that other companies are going to be using an application. We want to do it as well. And if you kind of step back and evaluate your process, you could be wasting time. So other staffing companies that I've worked with, it's really one of two processes that we try to do. First is segment your processes. For us internally at TKO, we have sales/marketing, job boards, ads. We separate that from pre-screening/onboarding, back office, which would include payroll and billing, and then a surplus of other various systems. And if you do that within your process, your full hiring cycle, the way you go to market, and look at each one and have an honest conversation with your staff if needed, or if you know it well enough, look and see what you would consider probably your strengths and your weaknesses. Start with your weaknesses. There's no sense of spending a couple of days taking demos and talking to partners about exit interviews and how to automate that if your staff at the same time can't fill orders. It's just utilizing your time, making sure you're applying your time and energy and dollars to the right things, and you're not really fixing something that's not necessarily broke. The other part, which is somewhat the same, is just bullet point your entire process from the minute a salesperson steps out that door to go try to talk to prospects, through bringing clients on board, through your recruiting cycle, all the way back to someone gets paid, then finally tallying up your P&L and reviewing it. If you kind of bullet point all of those steps, and then the same thing, just evaluate where you think you could be doing better. What do you really need? And kind of to the poll question, if you feel like you have strengths, great. If you feel like there are weak points there, instead of just separate programs that address your weakness, could tying it in together with other, applications, but getting a system that just automates it. And again, speed is a key. If it can put everybody on the same page, cut down training time for new internal staff, making it measurable so you can, evaluate usage. That's really the main thing. Just do not waste time on things that aren't really a priority for you. Last thing I'll say is, as much time, energy, and money that you spend with evaluating new technology, you need to put just as much into application and compliance with it. There's nothing worse than getting some new program, app, any type of new technology in your tech stack, and then 6 months later, you look back and no one's even using it, or they're not using all the features that actually sold it to you, that you were sold on in the first place. Most staffing companies are guilty of this in some form or fashion. This applies for us. And when I look back and try to evaluate what went wrong, usually it comes down to we just didn't do a good enough job training our staff or making sure they were comfortable with it.
Very good. Thank you. We're not done with you yet, Mike. I got another question for you.
Okay.
What changes or new features have become most important for the staffing company in regards to their payroll provider? Actually, Sanjay, you might want to weigh in on this as well.
I'll let Mike go first. I'll wait.
Okay. Again, common thing, automation. We utilize a program called Zoho, also an UZIO customer, but those two applications alone have somewhat transformed our business. Everything syncs, everything goes together nicely. My staff, I feel like we've done a good job training. Our application and usage is very high. We do activity reports for our ATS system. Same thing with our CRM. Our sales team, we make sure that we're hitting the number of calls that we want, and then all the with that, close percentage, number of meetings, things of that nature, and really reporting. At the end of the day, reporting. Sanjay knows well. We've had a few challenging situations with one heck of a workers' comp audit that we have gone through where that was needed. Anytime my CPA wants to know something, more than likely there's a report we can pull. Health insurance, census reports, they've been a key, to a lot of what we've been able to do. So whether it's UZIO or whatever payroll provider that you use, I know there are other good ones out there. Just make sure they have available the reports that you need, and again, things that you can use to measure what your team is doing. And I guess last thing I'll add, because it's been a little surprising to me over the last couple of months, conversations that I've had with other staffing company owners, is your ATS system that you use. Please make sure that it integrates software that you need or applications. A very basic example, and I know I'm kind of getting off subject here, but your ATS system, can you import resumes? There are still some ATS systems out there where you cannot do that. So in place, you're having to hand type employees or candidates' information. We should be well past that, and with the system that you use. So it's just one small example of how saving some time with your ATS system can be helpful. Mass texting, does it sync with a texting company where you can send out bulk text, emails, things of that nature are really important. But again, just the automation and kind of tying it all together. Just it's helpful if your payroll provider can do that for you. And certainly for us, that's been a great aspect to us in UZIO.
Yeah, and I think Mike framed it the best, that integrating ATS, which is your front office, with your payroll system, or onboarding and payroll system, that takes away so much friction and kind of frees up the time of your team. That that's worth looking into. And second thing which you said about reporting is absolutely on the dot. I was myself surprised when I looked at the workers' comp audit reports and how much variability there is, how much different kind of reports that different staffing companies need based on what kind of audit is being done. And that time of those 2 weeks when they are under that audit, your payroll provider should be really able to support you at that point. If their canned reports work, awesome. If they don't work, do they have custom reports that their staff can use to create the kind of reports that the auditors are looking for? And if even that does not work, then third is whether the vendor is willing to work with you to write that custom report quickly and turn it around in a day or two, versus waiting for it and asking for extra money and all that. With those things, I was surprised how much stress and pressure the agencies are under during that workers' comp audit week. And anything your vendor can do to support that in terms of better functionality, reporting, and all that would be a big plus.
Ooh, I like this one. You got the KPIs. Mike,
Yeah.
KPIs are important, man. What
Okay.
do you got to say about that?
So I'm going to assume most people that are watching this right now, you probably keep up with your gross billing, your payroll, gross profit, and headcount. Those are all right. That's kind of a staple for all of us in the staffing industry. But there's other smaller ones that really, again, if you utilize, which you have access to, whether it's your ATS system, your payroll system, maybe even your time clock system, I know that can be valuable for a lot of staffing companies. For us right now, outside of just the marketplace and our clients, one big thing that staffing companies I know that we're going through is increased costs with a lot of the vendors that we work with. Job boards. I won't call any specific companies out, but I can tell you one of our major job boards that we use, we just took a 300% increase. And when trying to find out why, we couldn't really get a good straight answer. And the reason why is because they can do it. Because other job boards and different sources, they're all going up. So they're just kind of staying within the market of what they can get. One of the big things that we use is basically we get our sourcing costs. It's been a huge roller coaster over the last couple of years. Pre-COVID, we paid on average $1.09 for every applicant that we had. Now that doesn't include walk-in traffic. That's purely job boards, job ads, Facebook boosts. Different anything that we spend online, it was $1.09. In 2021, at one point we were paying $9.87 per applicant. And as everybody on this webinar knows, you're not going to get every applicant into a job. So a lot of wasted money. As of last week, that number is kind of floating between $1.49 and just over $2 per applicant. So managing where your exposure is at and what your ROI for that is huge. We utilize 3 different job boards. We do traditional advertising, billboards, radio, things of that nature. Social media obviously is huge. So knowing where your money is going and knowing if it's even worth it, can you cut out some of your exposure that you have out there? That's a huge one that's been a top of mind here recently. Activity reports, whether it's your ATS or your CRM system. For our CRM, we want our sales team to be making 40 calls a day, preferably in person. If they do that, we then, after a week, want them to narrow it down to 10 to 15 solid, qualified prospects. And those 10 to 15 are going to be prospects that every week, no matter what happens, you're going to quote unquote reach out and touch them, whether that's in person, donuts, taking them cupcakes, taking them flyers, at the very minimum, finding a reason to email that client just to stay in contact. So we certainly measure those. And then for our recruiters, we require 50 activities a day, and that's measured through our ATS system. If they make those 50 activity calls a day, it can be anything. It can be processing a new applicant. It can be answering the phone and talking to someone. A candidate can't make it to work and is calling out. If you document that, it counts as an activity. Our staff though in operations has to make a minimum of 50, and if they do that, we're usually in good shape. For us in recruiting, we've got about a 2-week delay. If we have a ton of people applying, if we have activity online, if people are coming in the door, typically you can look back for the previous 2 weeks and our activity level has been high and it's paying off. For our sales team, we look at it, it's usually a 3-month delay. If your sales team is rocking it, if they've got activity, meetings, follow-up proposals, just flying out of there, more than likely they have really been hammering, beating the street, so to speak, for 3 months continually. And on the flip side of that, if there's nothing going on, no follow-up meetings, depression is coming in, salespeople are feeling isolated because they're worried about their jobs. Typically, there's been no activity, especially for the last 3 months. And it's not something that you can just one day snap your fingers and go get it. Again, it's every day, day in and day out. And in our position, to try to ensure that happens, we need to be measuring their activity, what they're doing, following up. We just got to make sure that that activity is going on. And so for us, with our KPIs, operationally, that is probably one of the biggest ones. Again, we talked about our payroll companies and reports. Turnover reports have been non-existent probably for most people on here. You could throw them out the window because turnover was so high, there really wasn't much of a reason to even measure it. We're going back to that. We're going back to pre-COVID conditions where extra services like turnover reports are going to become important. So just make sure that all of those are available. Again, what I said earlier, making sure you're utilizing all the features of your current tech stack. KPIs are one of those. Just make sure you're utilizing them is probably my biggest piece of advice.
Fantastic. Thanks again.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, hey, we got one last poll. Are you ready? Let's see what you got here. What do you believe will be the reason for gaining new clients this year? What's your thoughts? Just about there.
I'm going to take a guess on what I think it's going to be.
Are we betting money? And just so you know, after this, we have one last question, and then what we will do is we'll have what key takeaways are, and then we'll open it up to questions. Are you able to see the results?
That would have been my guess.
Hey.
Same here.
All right.
Wow. 46%.
Yeah. So we have a group watching right now that are optimists. The glass is half full. Everybody's so that's great. I love the optimism. It helps me out.
Cool. All right. So let's get to the last question. And that is all about opportunities. Mike and Sanjay, what opportunities do you see on the horizon for staffing agencies so that they are able to grow and thrive in the coming years?
I'll throw out there. It's going to be separating yourself from the competitors. You've probably, I assume, most of the marketplaces you've seen this competition. It's on both ends of the spectrum. So for the last year, we have not in our markets that we service. I'm not really aware of any staffing companies that have closed. However, there have been some branches, maybe that they've gone to part-time hours. They have laid off internal staff. We have a few that had on-site coordinators. They've actually pulled those. So definitely a lot of changes that have been going on. So a lot of the people you're going to compete against are understaffed, don't have the resources available. Know one competitor I had a conversation with, and they said they can't even use job boards anymore. They purely rely on walk-in traffic. So any of the things that you do that you know your competitors are not doing, please make sure you're making that known. You have to emphasize your services. It gives you the opportunity to separate yourself from the competitors. If you do any with your service levels, if you do work history verification, reference checks, do any specialized, not onboarding, but orientation for your clients. Again, back to reports. Can you provide information to the client? You need to make sure that you're either doing that or they know you can do that, because this has always been true, but probably upcoming in the next couple of years, more true than ever. If you have a large client, if they have multiple locations, corporate offices in other states, your decision maker, they have a boss. You need to make sure in your sales team that whatever you're presenting to them, whatever you are offering to them, they can duplicate that information to their boss. A lot of times, if you've got a really great salesperson, they come in and give this great sales pitch. They sold the contact. That person is good to go, but nothing ever comes from it because your contact relaying that information to their boss, there's a gap there. So obviously, things you can put in print, emails that's worded to where your contact can forward that. Make sure you're doing that and you're kind of aware of that. One other thing are MSPs. If anyone on this goes through a MSP, there's been a lot of talk about that industry changing a little bit. Staff Management is a company that we've had a lot of business through over the years with bigger clients. They're an example of one. And whether it's them or anyone else, just make sure you're staying in the know on what's going on with that. A lot of clients that utilize MSP, some of those have started to look about going around that and going directly to the staffing agency simply because the communication is better. They can get information directly from them and basically just kind of cutting the MSP out. If there's if you've been in your market, if there are clients that have always used the MSP, so you kind of quit just calling on them, reach back out to them, just see what's going on, because you could be surprised. They could be open to actually listening to what you can offer. So maybe worth your time to just check in with them. And then any other clients that are out there where maybe you're a backup supplier. A lot of our clients the last 2 years have brought in multiple suppliers just because nobody could fill their orders. If you are a backup, treat them like a primary. Offer all of your services, go have the communication with them, let them know you want their business. And if their primary is complacent, is really pulled their resources and not giving the service levels that you can, it can be your account to pick up. And it's just another opportunity you want to make sure you're not missing out on.
Super. Sanjay, you want to weigh
Yeah,
in?
exactly what Mike said, that um, the level, ultimately it's a service business, right? Knowing your customer and their business truly, and I've seen how Mike does that for TKO, for his clients, like truly understanding and caring for your customers will outbid your competition any day. So that's a given. Everybody says that, but implementing that takes a very detailed approach that many times is not given the attention it deserves. Second thing I would say, which I started with in the first question, was using technology to automate more of your functions, your margins. Mike was talking about all the KPIs earlier, and when you are really, if you are gonna, track all those, you will see how do you. Question will be, okay, why this? Why not X? Why? And many times it will come down to, especially if you're looking at your margins, your net margins, why they are low, why it can't be higher. Sometimes you are so busy doing your day-to-day, your blocking and tackling, that you do not take the time to step out and say, am I using my resources the best, in the most efficient manner? Are they doing, if one of your admin staff is all she's doing is taking your timesheet, taking the payroll data, copying into multiple Excels, and then creating that invoice, and she's doing it week after week after week, with the new advent of technology, which I was talking at the beginning, can some of that be automated? You will be surprised how much my Excel capabilities will improve once they put this AI tool inside that. Some of that can be automated. So you will have to look at your workflow and see how much of that is being still manual, still repetitive, still prone to errors, and can I automate that? And I see that as a big opportunity for agencies.
Excellent. Well, this has really been a great session, Mike and Sanjay. You've shared some fantastic insights on upcoming trends and how staffing companies can take advantage and create growth opportunities. So we're going to wrap it up with key takeaways that you suggest for our audience. Sanjay, if it's okay, we will go ahead and start with you.
Sure. So, it will be no surprise. I've been harping on this, so I would stick to that be intentional about looking at your workflow and truly seeing the potential of technology. It may not be there today, but I bet you that with the advent of newer functionality that vendors are pushing out, with the advent of technology itself becoming more intelligent, some of the things that you did last year, the way you did, you don't have to do that going forward. If you will intentionally look at your workflow, you look at things you can automate, you can do more with less. I will just leave it at that.
Great. All right, Mike, you're up.
I got a book written here. All right, for the next 3 months, sell, sell, sell. The last 2 years has been the wild, wild west for staffing agencies, clients that would never give you the time of day, well, they're willing to listen to you. Clients that would never get you set up in their system. They've been so desperate to get their orders filled. They're taking on multiple agencies. That is going to be slowing down. It's already started. Not sure if you've really seen that yet in your market, but if it hasn't started to happen, it's coming. Just a rough estimate in our marking, we think probably sometime in March or April is kind of when it's going to close off. So I would challenge everyone on here for your sales team, blitz the areas, set a high number, get additional team members out in the field. And if you can't close the clients at a bare minimum, utilize your CRM system, get every contact, every phone number, every email you can get your hands on while it's still a little bit easier to do that. And then in the future, that could come out to pay off huge dividends for you, just having contacts. Old school tactics are coming back. Be ready or someone else will. Examples include in-person check-ins, work history verification, and turnover reports. If you have staff that has been in the industry for less than 3 years, there's going to be aspects to our industry that they've never really had to do because it hasn't been a priority. You might have to train them on that. And again, as Sanjay's talked about technology, the advantage is there's so many better applications now that the training should be a little bit easier than it was back for us 20 years ago that have been in this forever. Implement technology that assists your process, not replace it. New systems must combine current technology partners or at least integrate together. Again, we've covered this, payroll systems that tie into your ATS, CRM, your onboarding process. If you're not using it, you're just kind of missing out. Put as much time and energy into managing your new technology as you did researching and implementing it. The greatest systems in the world mean nothing if they are not utilized. Utilize all aspects of your tech stack. And then finally, in staffing, you're either moving forward or falling back. Your business never stays stationary. You and other decision makers are the catalyst. Not every employee thinks like an owner. Not every employee thinks like their supervisor or like you. It's our job to make sure that we're moving that needle, that we're getting the training out there, and most importantly, we're evaluating technology and how it can help. Any technology that's out there, there's probably very few things that it can do that you can't already do. The difference is it makes it faster. It automates it. It removes you some from having to be present every step of the way. So again, if nothing else, just please make sure that you're evaluating and implementing all the technology that you can out there because it's great.
Super. Thank you again. And folks, just from a timing perspective, because it's always better to finish early than to finish late, we're going to pop the contact information here. I do want to thank you so much for attending. We do hope you got valuable takeaways. We will be sending out an email with a replay of this, as well as a brief white paper it's a brief white paper. It's not one of those long ones that speaks to this topic in further depth. You will also see the speaker contact information here. If you have additional questions, you should be receiving a survey. We hope that you'll take a moment to fill that out, and we would welcome any questions, which we would of course provide responses to, and any future topics you would like us to cover. So with that, we did still manage. It was tight, but we did manage to finish a few minutes early. So I know your time is valuable. Thank you so much for spending that time with us. Again, we look forward to feedback, and hopefully we'll see you in future webinars. Thank you, everybody. And thank you so much to our speakers, Sanjay, Mike. Thank you. Those was some really good stuff. Y'all have a great rest of the day. And here's to a fantastic 2023.
See you.
Success to everybody.